Hello and welcome to Some Dude Shed. It's Newsday. Dong.
Bong bong.
My name is Mr. Grey and I'm joined by Mr. Red and
Hello.
Mr. Black.
Yo.
And we're going to be talking to you about the more important news stories of the week. Starting with news from China. China has developed their first AI judge, which can decide people's innocence with 97% accuracy.
Why only 97? If it's so perfect.
Oh, well, this is the first thing that, they're going to be honest. Well, at least the people who made it are going to be honest and say that it's not 100% perfect. There may be mistakes. Well, they say it's very high accuracy. I guess that is 97% higher than human.
I suppose it would be, because there would be no bias factored into it unless, bias is factored into it in its programming. But actually, I actually probably would trust an AI judge more than a regular judge, because a regular judge can be biased as fuck.
Yes, but...
Not speaking from history, but,
If I may rephrase the question, which you kind of answered, would you trust a Chinese AI?
No, I wouldn't.
No, well, as you can imagine, it's they're gonna bring it into use soon. But what they've done to create the AI is they've made an algorithm using thousands of legal cases from around the world from between 2015 and 2020. So that's 5 years of law that they're putting in as examples, and it's supposed to learn from it, I guess.
I think what they'd be better off doing is if they just feed in law books into it, and then it just literally judges your fate based on, the crimes you've committed. You know what I mean? Like, based on the evidence, it's like, okay, well, he's clearly done this, clearly done that, and you get handed down a fair sentence. And if it's the same AI across the board, basically judging everybody, you know what I mean? Doesn't matter where you're from, what color you are, what your background is or anything. Everyone gets treated exactly the same way.
I guess
assuming it is programmed to be that way.
It does have the laws in it. But what it is I suppose it's trying to guess whether the evidence is enough. It's trying to decide whether somebody's guilty or innocent.
But then you still need a jury, would you not? So you still need a jury, be like, well, yeah, this person's guilty, and then you just sort of go to AI. Well, this person's guilty of this, and this.
But not all trials are jury trials.
Probably
the main concern of that is an AI would be able to determine if somebody was guilty of committing a crime. Did you steal that from a shop? And they admitted, or they have CCTV put in and then says, yes, well, here's subject A, whatever, clearly taking this item from the shop. But whenever you get into a more nuanced situation,
or something that happened behind closed doors.
Something that happened behind closed doors, or if someone did something in a moment where you're trying to determine whether it would be, I don't know, case of self-defense. Did you kill someone? Yes, technically, yes, you did. But why did you do it? So when does the judge's lenient, the nuance of the cases and judge's understanding, and when a leniency can be levied in that? Would an AI understand that?
I don't know. That's really complicated.
Yeah, it's not black and white.
Yeah.
You can look at a law and say, yes, you did break that law. You did kill someone, right? So by definition, you've committed a murder, or you've met the criteria for murder.
Yeah.
But why did you kill that person, if you know what I mean?
Well, I think there's crime, it was supposed to be different mitigating factors. Was it a crime of passion, or was it an accident, or
Yeah, but would the AI be able to understand that though?
Probably not. It probably would require writing more laws or changing existing laws.
That's very complicated. You do need the wisdom and creative thinking of a human to be able to figure this stuff out.
Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah.
Assuming that human is wise. I suppose maybe you would need an after jury, so the AI is right, this, and then the after jury is kind of well, maybe it's a bit too harsh.
Like the appeal or something.
Yeah, sort of some sort of they'd be afterwards, would the jury would be is that a fair sentence? And they'd be yeah, or is that a fair sentence? They'd be nah, that's way too harsh. 100 years for stealing a packet of crisps or something.
Well, there is more to this. The person who people who are going to be using it were asked who takes responsibility when he gets it wrong. And basically, is it the prosecutor, or is it the machine, or the designer of the algorithm? I say AI may help detect a mistake, but it cannot replace humans in making the decision. So I guess it's not to be a be all and end all. I don't think it'll be a machine with a hammer stuck to it to pass the judgment. I think it'll be maybe a little laptop that the judge is just going to have sitting next to him.
Yeah.
With all the evidence going into it, and then this is what the AI says, and then this is what the jury says, and then this is what do you think?
It's just a sentence calculator.
Yeah.
This many years. And the judge is like, no. But yeah, that's the thing as well, though. Like, say it's a really high-profile case, like a famous person is now going to be judged by this AI. There's no fucking way a rich and powerful person who happens to be going into court is going to, like, if this ever was to come into thing, there's no way they're going to sit them in front of an AI. Because you can't, not naming any names, but like you can't really bribe. You can't bribe an AI judge. You know what I mean? Or you can't carry favor with an AI judge. So I just don't see it happening. I think it's just like a way the sausage factory process crimes.
On the point of the cases being fed into it and it being able to determine a judgment or a suggestion from that, I think is actually really useful because say you have every case ever done, say the AI is created and then you have every case.
No human's ever going to be able to remember all that. So.
No human's ever going to remember all of that, but no human's ever going to read all of that either.
Yeah.
So that if the AI is aware of, I don't know, every recorded case and it can help you to come to determination, that's actually really useful, but I just wouldn't trust an AI to be able to deal with the nuances of why certain things happen, if you know what I mean.
What about an AI on the jury? If it's like a jury case, not an AI judge, but just an AI jury member. That'd be really interesting.
I suppose that's kind of what
you're going to, that's one hell of a way to end up with a hung jury. The AI is going to come to determination, be like, no, I've looked at all the evidence and this is what I've come to. And then everyone else disagrees with them.
Well, no, it'll just be things like, it'll just be kind of like an umpire almost. So it'll just sort of sit there and then people will be like, well, he clearly went and did this. And then the AI will be like, correction, you can see by this video here, exhibit B, he did not do this. And it'll play back the video for you. Like, it'll just sort of like remind you of what actually the evidence is.
I'm not sure about having the AI as a jury member, but having one to help the jury might work.
Yeah. I
the
assume they have dudes like that, don't they? Like,
the idea behind having a jury in the first place is to have people of the community.
I just realised your what t-shirt you're wearing, Mr. Grey. It's so appropriate for this.
Yes, indeed.
You're wearing 2001 Space Odyssey. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I cannot do that with the HAL eye on the front of it.
Yeah, that would be...
Didn't notice until you pointed it out, because I can't see.
That's... it's quite appropriate for this. I mean, the last thing you want is someone like HAL 9000 passing judgment. He'll just end up, like, I don't know,
death to all humans.
Vacuuming the courtroom or something.
Repeal the death sentence. I can't do that.
Anyway, moving on. Mr. Red, what have you got for us?
This is from the BBC News. Alexa tells 10-year-old girl to touch live plug with penny.
Right.
Really?
Apparently so. This is from the BBC. Well, Amazon has updated its Alexa voice assistant after it challenged a 10-year-old girl. Amazon has updated its Alexa voice assistant after it challenged a 10-year-old girl to touch a coin to the prongs of a half-inserted plug.
Wow. I'm glad they updated it.
I love the way it's half-inserted as well.
Yeah, it's definitely the most dangerous way to do it.
Yeah.
As in, like,
you're touching that complete circuit.
Are you talking about like a half inserted plug, as in like an appliance half plugged into the socket, or the plug
just
half
enough,
out of the
enough
wall?
to get the coin to touch the prongs.
Oh,
it's still
okay.
plugged in.
So that's like the way to actually kill yourself.
Yeah.
So, is she okay? Did she do it?
Taking Alexa to court.
I don't know.
You're guilty of murdering a child.
She's got a pretty good legal team. She's also AI, so the Chinese robot would probably side with her.
This isn't a...
See, it doesn't matter, because, I mean, like, ultimately that would be Amazon's fault. So they would be getting taken to court, and they will be guilty of...
It would be seen as a defective product that they put out and resulted in that girl's death, so yeah.
Yeah. But not even... They could even argue that it solicited the child to kill herself. Like, it actually solicited the child to do it.
Right. Okay. So,
because it's not like she dropped an Alexa in her head and then she died. Like, it's going to be a proper,
I'd love to know more details about this. Like, I'd love a transcript.
Kill yourself. Okay.
Well, we'll go on the article. The suggestion came after the girl asked Alexa for a challenge to do.
Right.
The death challenge.
So you can ask Alexa for a challenge to do, and it'll tell you to, I don't know, bounce a ball 5 times or something. Well,
right.
This Alexa had something more nefarious in mind. So
it's not funny, but
whenever the little girl asked the challenge to do, apparently the Alexa replied, "Plug in a phone charger about halfway into a wall outlet." Then touch a penny to the exposed prongs, the smart speaker said.
Jesus.
Wow.
Amazon said it fixed the error as soon as the company became aware of it.
Good. How did it get there in the first place?
That's
We'll probably never know that. But
The girl's mother, Christine Levidia, described the incident on Twitter. She said, "We were doing some physical challenges, like lying down and rolling over, holding a shoe on your foot, from a physical education teacher on YouTube earlier. Bad weather outside. She just wanted another one. That's when the Echo speaker suggested partaking in the challenge that it had found on the web." Oh, it had found the challenge on the web.
right.
Yeah, so that was the other thing. It could have been just a by chance dodgy Google search.
The dangerous activity known as the Penny Challenge began circulating on TikTok and other social media websites about a year ago. Of course, it's the TikTok thing.
Of course.
How would it search? It must have searched Google. Like, what would it search? Like, challenge? Like,
Yeah, challenge. Would have been challenge something. Challenges to do or something.
I would just love to know if it was something on Alexa's end or on Google's end, assuming the search came from Google.
Kind of makes me want to go on TikTok and look up that challenge now. See a couple of morons get an electric shock.
It's on TikTok, is it?
Well, apparently it was big in TikTok about a year ago. You know, the Tide Pod challenge and what else? What else we had from TikTok?
There's a Tide
The
Pod
ice
challenge.
cream-
That was the
The ice cream
ice
challenge.
cream licking challenge.
Yeah.
What were they?
There was also the thing, I can't remember what you called it, but where you jumped up in the air, you challenge your friend to jump up in the air, and then you kick their feet out from underneath them, and they fall back and whack their head. I can't remember what that was called. Though.
That's not a challenge. That's just
That's murder.
that's just knocking someone over.
If your friend does that to you, get new friends. Unless you do it as part of Jackass.
Metals conduct electricity, and inserting them into live electrical sockets can cause electric shock,
Water is wet.
fires, and other damage. I know you can lose fingers, hands, arms. Michael Cluster, station manager at Carlisle's East Fire Station, told the Press News in Yorkshire in 2020. The outcome from this is that someone will get seriously hurt. Fire officials in the US have also spoken out against the so-called challenge. Miss Levidia tweeted that she had intervened, yelling, "No, Alexa, no." However, she said her daughter was too smart to do something like that. Amazon told the BBC in a statement that it had updated Alexa to prevent the assistant recommending such activity in the future. Customer trust is at the centre of everything we do, and Alexa is designed to provide accurate, relevant, and helpful information to customers, said Amazon in a statement. As soon as we became aware of this error, we took swift action to fix it.
I mean,
So
like-
there you go. They didn't program it in themselves to say, stick a penny in the socket. They did Google searched it.
So it's a Google search then?
It says searched online. I don't know if it was a Google search actually.
Probably Bing. Search Google for activity.
Bound to get
juggle the
bound to
ball.
get trouble.
Wow.
Just says found on the web.
So, Mr. Black,
Jesus.
what have you found this week?
Woman claims she was virtually groped in Meta's VR metaverse.
Virtually groped.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure she was virtually upset by this.
I don't know about you, but I've heard about things like this before, but not, but before VR was a thing.
Right?
So, like, I remember there's this whole big thing in GTA. There's like a news report. I don't know who the news report was from, but basically what people were doing was they were modding, if you played GTA Online, you would just join a room full of other random players, but sometimes these rooms would be hacked,
Right.
and people would like load in their own animations, their own cars, their own models.
Fun.
But some of these animations were very sexually charged,
All right.
shall we say. And so but the thing is, it would also involve another player. So this person would walk up to another player, hit the animation, and hit it home pretty much with this other character model. So your character would pretty much be engaged in some sort of sex act, and you wouldn't really be able to break out of it. And this made the news. So this is the first time I've heard about something like this. But then VR is a whole new thing. Like when VR first came out, you had this thing called VR chat. Literally just as these VR chat rooms, you go in, just chat to people and mess about with toys and throw balls at each other and all that crap. But there's been a lot of dodgy people going on,
Right.
and naturally a lot of kids would be on this. So you have a lot of dodgy people telling dodgy things to kids and asking them to do dodgy things, and you've got an imagination, use it. But this woman here, she was a beta tester for the Horizon Worlds VR platform, which is Metaverse's or Meta. It's their part of the Metaverse.
Right.
And this is their thing they're trying to push now. They revealed the incident on December 1st, saying it occurred on November 26th. The woman had reported the assault on the Horizon Worlds beta testing Facebook group. Sexual harassment is no joke on the regular internet, but being in VR adds another layer that makes the event more intense.
For those of us who are not in on this sort of thing, what is the metaverse? Is it like a Second Life thing?
It's just a virtual world. So you have like your own little avatar that you make up. Like it's a cartoon version of you, basically.
Right.
So it's not photorealistic. And I think the idea is you can have these virtual spaces. So you can essentially have your own office and you could put decorations and stuff up. Or else there'd be these communal spaces, which would be like chat rooms, except it's virtual. You're wearing your headset and you can see other people walking around and chatting to each other, and so it's basically like leaving the house without leaving the house, which is sad.
Right.
But I think people are I think the whole point Meta are trying to make is that these could be the offices of the future. So instead of having to build more office blocks and have actual offices, you could just have meetings in person in VR, in virtual person. You know what I mean? And you don't even have to leave your house.
Well, that's a nice idea, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the cool part of it, but then obviously there's some weird dark dystopian tinges to it as well. Like
you can't give people free reign without expecting something.
Yeah,
something nasty.
You ever seen the film Surrogates?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce Willis film came out ages ago.
Right.
It might have been like 2011 or 10 or something. Basically, people don't leave their houses anymore. They get up out of their beds and get into this other bed, which is like a control pod type thing, from what I remember. Or else they put on these glasses, and then they control like a robotic version of themselves. And it's not even themselves. It's like you can be a completely different person. Like you could be, if you're a woman, you could be like controlling a man robot, and you just go about your daily business. Like you leave the house as your robot and just do whatever you want. But I feel like this is going to be like another version of that. Cool in some ways, but sort of weird in other ways.
Is there any game aspect to the metaverse?
I imagine there would be. There'd be like Yahtzee or like
Right.
Farmville. Now I imagine it'd be more like sort of, they'll probably try and push like a Wii Sports kind of thing. So it'd be like tennis and just your typical VR games, like bow and arrow crap. And but moving on with this. Not only was I groped last night, but there were other people there who supported this behavior, which made me feel isolated in the plaza. It's not the same as real life, is it? So,
well, no, it's the internet.
Like, now my knee-jerk reaction to this was a stupid woman. Like, ugh, like it's only made up. It's not real. But then I suppose
maybe it'd bring back distressing memories.
Yeah, like that's what I was thinking. Like, if you had like a history of some sort of physical assault, especially of a sexual nature, maybe it would sort of cause distress. But at the same time, surely the reasonable thing to do would be just to block the person. Like, there's facilities where you can just block people if they're harassing you, instead of just sort of going, just sitting there just telling them to stop. You can literally just block them and delete them from your life.
There's also I hear there's a development going on for an AI system which can determine who the guilty party is. Developed in China.
Yeah, like a VR judge.
Yeah.
VR execution then?
Yeah, that would be good. Why not? Yeah, VR public executions.
I think VR chat has this thing. It's literally a safe space. It's like a box around your vicinity, and if you can only allow certain people into this box, and they can actually just come into your space, and they can just sort of interact. You can interact with each other, or play with toys or shit. I don't even know what you do in VR. Throw basketballs about or something.
I don't know. I don't really get it.
But that's something you could do in that anyway. And if anybody that's not in that list comes into your box, then they just vanish. They're not there anymore. They can't come in. So they can implement something like that. But I think honestly, I don't know. I don't know whether to be angry at this woman or not. Do you have any thoughts on this? Or?
It didn't actually happen to her, so I don't know.
Well,
it didn't physically happen.
Like online harassment, sure, it probably counts as online harassment. I just can't understand the outrage whenever you can block somebody. I just don't get it.
It's like saying you're being harassed on Twitter. Well, it's like you can just block them.
Yeah.
But as to call that, like, I don't know.
Like some people.
Did they call it sexual harassment or sexual assault?
Sexual harassment, yeah. She wrote, Yeah, so she's classing it as sexual harassment, actual sexual harassment, not online harassment.
Yeah.
So it'd be no different from somebody going up and actually grabbing her in real life, according to her.
Didn't actually
think that's
physically
like-
happen to you. So
That's fucking stupid. That's like somebody in VR coming up and punching you in the face in VR. It's like it's
yeah,
it's not the
it
same.
didn't
You know
happen.
what I mean? Yeah.
That's like saying I got violently attacked. Oh, what happened? Oh, I was playing VR and I
yeah.
got punched in the face.
It's
you
like
know.
me playing Call of Duty and someone shoots me in the face.
Well, it's like playing.
He killed me, so
It's like playing. Oh, to use a VR example, it's like playing Pavlov, and somebody dropped their gun and stabbed you to death instead. It's like somebody stabbed me to death, and you look fine. It's like, oh no, what happened in VR?
but yeah. Surely you subscribe to the fact that it's virtual reality, so it's going to have some level of realism. It's going to be simulating
But
you in a
here, hold
3D
on a
space,
minute, that
so
means-
things are going to happen to you. It's not like it's happening to your character on the screen. Things are going to happen to you. You're going to get shot, or you're going to like get things thrown at you, or whatever.
But then in Pavlov, you can drop all your guns and use your hands to like touch the other person. So technically, by going by this standard, you could be sexually harassed in Pavlov.
Well, in any VR multiplayer game, you can sexually harass anyone, according to this person, in any VR game.
Well, the world's doomed then.
Well, if people like this have their way, then yeah. Like the block, I can't fathom that some people don't understand that the block button is
Can
there.
be used.
Yeah, like indicators in a car, like they're there, but some people just don't use it.
I don't know. This seems like a nothing.
Yeah, it sounds like yes, it's a massive overreaction. I say.
Yeah.
I mean, fair enough. The person who did it wasn't being very nice, but it's basically just a game, though. Calm down. It's not real life.
Sexual harassment in virtual reality is sexual harassment in real life. Full stop. Experts have said.
Who are the experts?
Experts.
Well, there's experts for everything.
Some arsehole from Twitch probably, or like expert influencers. Some influencers fall under the expert category these days.
I do remember one time seeing on the news an emoji specialist.
Emoji specialist.
Yes.
Wow.
This is Catherine Cross, a PhD student researcher of online harassment at the University of Washington, says, at the end of the day, the nature of virtual reality spaces is such that it's designed to trick the user into thinking they're physically in a certain space, that their every bodily action is occurring in a 3D environment. It's part of the reason why emotional reactions can be stronger in that space, why VR triggers the same internal nervous system and psychological responses.
Sorry, not emoji specialist. Of emoji translator.
To be fair, that is actually quite a skill. It's like hieroglyphics sometimes. If you send messages with nothing but emojis, if you can make a sensible sentence out of it, then that's pretty good.
Well, like most people can.
Oh, here's actually here's an
It's when
account.
it gets complicated, you know?
Here's another account of what happened. So a different event. Aaron Stanton, co-developer of the VR game Quiver, remembers an ordeal in 2016 when a gamer, Jordan Bellemare, reported getting groped in virtual reality while hunting zombies and demons in the game. I
But
lost
demons and zombies were groping him.
Well, I think this basically comes down to if you're going to apply a physical action like this to being related to a physical action in real life, then literally if you go onto a game in VR where you kill other people, then by this reasoning you have killed another person.
Especially one involving zombies, right? I mean, you know what zombies are like. They're quite grabby.
Grabby,
Oh yeah.
You know,
So
they're
you're just
walking
putting-
around with their arms in front of them. Let's imagine you're up some stairs. They're coming up the stairs, but their arms are still out, stretched forwards. If they grab, assuming there's no clever programming to get them to aim, it looks like they're grabbing your crotch.
So
Yeah, see,
basically,
what
what
you're
you're saying,
using
That's
now-
a sexual assault game right there.
Yeah, but what you're using there is logic, whereas some people just can't seem to factor logic into the equation. Like a lot of people just make an emotional argument.
now hold on a minute. That person, what Mr. Gray has explained there, he has innocently put himself by no fault of his own into a game of a horde of sexual harassers.
Yeah.
Zombies are sexual in nature.
The
really.
zombies are disgusting things.
User Big Bro 442, whose avatar was merely one disembodied head and two floating hands, reportedly chased Bellarmine.
How the
and-
hell can you harass? I take it her avatar is the same. If it's literally just a head and two floating hands,
Getting
what?
chased by Rayman. grabbed her. Reportedly chased Bellarmine, grabbed her chest and crotch, then refused to pull away as she cried stop.
So she had an avatar, but he didn't, or the other person didn't.
I imagine they were both just heads with, but you don't see that yourself. You just see like you see your hands, I think, and that's it.
Then he didn't grab anything because it's not there to grab.
Yeah, I just think
I suppose the
she
other
must have
person
felt it
seems
in real life or some shit. I don't know. Maybe she's like,
Maybe she should take the VR headset up and have a look around about who's about her.
I think maybe she's just fucking sell it, not play VR. Refused to pull away as she cried stop. That only goaded him on, she said.
Of course.
Imagine, like, could you imagine if this was like a 14-year-old girl or something that was groped? I reckon that would probably set some sort of precedent then.
Well,
Like some sort of legal precedent.
there's no laws for it yet.
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 Slippery slope.
I reckon within 10 years there'll be plenty.
Oh yeah, 100% VR laws. Well, I mean, if you think about the online laws that exist now, that didn't exist.
Yeah, in the 90s, in the 90s it was free roam.
Yeah.
You could find literally anything on the internet in the 90s.
Not even as far back as that. Like, I think some internet laws were going into full swing after 2012, wasn't it? Like people actually getting arrested for saying the wrong things online, or saying
that's
dodgy
But
things.
saying things. Oh no, I'm talking about illegal content, like properly illegal content.
The sign
Stuff
thing.
that we wouldn't be allowed to talk about on our current platform.
The sign thing. That's Malicious Communications Act in the UK. 1993, I think it is.
That wasn't really internet based though, wasn't it? Or did the internet fall into that? I suppose it did in a way.
I think technically it fell into it.
Yeah, but I think they probably didn't really think about the internet a whole lot back then. It was like, well, nah.
I think the internet only really entered the law when it started breaking copyright, right?
I think whenever Twitter took full force, then people were like, "Oh, he said a bad thing to me. He should go to jail. He said this online. He should go to jail." Like, sure, I think there was that League of Legends player only out of jail recently. I don't know how long he was jailed for. It was definitely a good long while, but he said something basically about involving a school online, but as a joke, clearly as a joke, and he got jailed for it.
Yeah, it's the Malicious Communications Act 1998. So, offence of sending letters intent to cause distress or anxiety. Any person who sends a letter to another person that contain or in the format of letter, electronic communication, or article of any description which conveys a message which is indecent or grossly offensive, a threat, or information which is false and known or believed to be false by the sender. So the electronic communication would fall under.
Seems very vague. Kind of
Yeah.
agree with the threat part though.
Well, I think it just came more into prevalence, like about monitoring online spaces, more recent years than when the internet first made.
I think that's a conversation for another time there.
Yeah. Just want to finish here. Stanton is still haunted by what happened to Bellemere and wishes he had pushed for more protections. Haunted by seeing a pair of disembodied hands.
Well,
But if he had
pretend to
no,
grope a virtual character,
if
like
he had no avatar, then did she have? But like I said this before, if he had no avatar, then would it not be the same for her? It would just be a head and two hands.
well, I don't think it mattered if you had a body or not. It's not real.
Just genuinely seems like a load of nonsense.
Stupid people. Stupid people is the headline of the story. I just made up, but I'll call it stupid people.
Do you think, Mr. Gray?
Well, I think I'm basically kind of following on the same lines. It's not nice. She should use the block button.
Yeah, just the block button's there. Just use it there, and your life is free
I'm
of
sure
that
there's-
person.
And did you not mention also there's like a privacy mode where you have like a radius around you can't let anyone in?
It was on VR chat, but I'm pretty sure there are other similar safeguards
Yeah.
that are being put into place now.
But yeah, if you can put that in place, so your problem solved.
There you go. So, there you go.
Anyway, I have one more news story just before I finish up.
Oh, go on.
This is from the BBC News. Squirrel injures 18 people in 2 days of attacks in
No.
Buckley.
Now that is scary.
That's terrifying.
A grey squirrel which attacked and injured 18 people has been captured and put down.
What?
They murdered the squirrel. He was just a political prisoner.
Well, hold on, he was a violent criminal. This is
One person's violent criminal is another person's political prisoner.
Why didn't they just move it?
What did it do?
The animal earned its nickname Stripe after the vicious character in the film Gremlins. It started attacking people in Buckley, Flintshire, last week over a 2-day period. This was much to the distress of Caroline Reynolds, 65, who had fed it since March and said it was a frequent and friendly visitor to her garden. Stripe initially came to steal bird food, and Miss Reynolds said all those months he'd been fine. He would even come and take a nut out of my hand. But she said he bit her last week as she fed him in the garden, and then she saw reports of other bites and attacks on people on the town Facebook. She added, after I saw all these photos of people's injuries, I thought, oh my goodness, what happened to him?
Hit some hard times,
They
man.
had some hard times, went down the wrong road in life.
Made the wrong friends.
Mrs. Reynolds said she knew something had to be done and thought, because I knew him, I knew I was likely to catch him. I only left the trap near the area I normally feed him for 20 minutes and he was in. She added, I felt he did trust me and I betrayed him.
It's a fucking wild animal. Just leave him alone.
Mrs. Reynolds often takes in injured birds such as seagulls or corvids until they can be released, describing herself as an animal lover. She said, my garden is like a bird sanctuary, but I know I did the right thing. I have a 2-year-old grandson, and if he'd been bitten on the finger, he could have lost it.
That's a good point. I mean, those squirrels are not the cleanest of animals.
Yeah.
You could get a pretty nasty infection from a bite.
Yeah, rabies from them.
Rabies?
Yeah.
Goodness.
Can you?
I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me.
Squirrel rabies?
Squirrelids.
I thought that was more of like a predator animal sort of thing. So like foxes and dogs and badgers.
But I thought they just didn't. I thought they just didn't go for you unless they felt threatened or you encroached in their space.
Well,
Because
obviously,
they generally do just avoid humans like the plague. So unless you're doing something to threaten it, then it shouldn't go for you.
obviously, Mrs. Reynolds wasn't paying her protection money, and the squirrel had to take it out on those she loved.
Where was the squirrel again? Was it in a park or?
It was coming to her back garden, and then it bit her, and then it had been biting people all over the town of Buckley.
And so they had to kill it.
Yes, it's been put down.
Sad times.
A woman who lives in the same area reported being attacked as she was taking in her recycling boxes. Another recounted on social media how she had to have a tetanus jab after being bitten by Stripe. RSPCA took Stripe in following his capture by Mrs. Reynolds, and after examination, he was euthanized by a vet.
Euthanized for being a squirrel.
A spokesman said, we are incredibly sad to put the squirrel to sleep, but we were left with no choice due to the change in legislation in 2019 making it legal to release grey squirrels back into the wild. Oh.
But it was already in the wild.
Oh, is this the whole grey squirrel and red squirrel thing?
Red squirrel, yeah, because red squirrels are native to Britain. Grey squirrels are an American immigrant.
And they've been killing each other?
Yeah, the grey squirrels are bigger and stronger, and they're a lot better and more comprehensive at gathering food.
So basically the grey squirrels have been wiping out the red squirrels?
Basically, yeah.
Like, you should just make it a thing. Only feed the red ones. Don't feed the grey
It's
ones.
kind of hard. You just got to leave the cage of food out. And
Well, she said it came up to her and she fed it. And it must have went up to other humans because they kept getting bit.
Well, they didn't put it down because it was biting people. Well, that's not what I get from this. They put it down because it was grey. So it was a racial murder.
How dare he? How dare he be grey? They should put down those fucking 13 idiots. Oh, let's feed it, it'll be fine. It's my friend, it's come up to me, it's my friend. That's the mentality of some of these people. It's like, oh, this animal understands me. This animal's my friend. And they get bitten and they're all shocked. Wild animal bit me, oh my god.
It was 18.
18?
And it has a higher body count than that.
Well, fuck you, 18 people. Squirrel's dead now because of you.
We did not agree with the law and oppose it, but legally we have to comply. There are numerous ways to humanely deter grey squirrels, and we would urge people not to trap them, as it is now illegal to release them into the wild, and the only option is to put them to sleep. I used to call him Little Buddy every time I saw him in the garden, said Mrs. Reynolds. But after all this started happening, that's when I changed it to Stripe. I feel sad that the squirrel has lost its life, but there was nothing else I could do. The damage he caused was unbelievable.
What if there was a homeless guy in our garden?
See, to be honest, the thing that's not actually shocking to me is that it attacked 18 people. That's not really shocking to me. It's more the fact that we're genociding grey squirrels.
Well,
legally.
Yeah, because it's okay. It's okay to kill some things and others. But she's like, I think I don't know. I don't think she's just feeding it out of the goodness of her heart. I think she was just like, oh, I want to play with the squirrel kind of thing. Like if there's a homeless guy in her back garden, like she wouldn't call it Little Buddy and start feeding him. You know what I mean? Like
squirrels are a lot cuter than homeless.
She's like, oh, it's a homeless person. Ugh. Like, she wouldn't, you know what I mean? It's just like she just wanted to play with the animals and feel like she was in a Disney film. Well, fuck you. Dead now because of you.
Well, I guess that's our last story, is it?
That's our last story. I wonder if any of the grey squirrels, the red squirrels, have wrote a book called Helter Skelter.
Nut War.
Well,
Squirrel War.
All I can say is we were going to save this for a future episode, but I suppose it's quite a good segue. The origin of our names of Mr. Grey, Mr. Red, and indeed Mr. Black were all named after types of squirrel. And on that note, Good night.
Mr. Grey's trying to kill me.
There's black squirrels.
Yeah, there's black squirrels.
Holy shit!
I know, it's weird, right?
You just hear about the violence between the grey and the red ones.
Well, the black ones are actually they're kind of an unusual breed.
Oh, right.
It's more like I suppose the opposite of an albino. You know?
Oh, okay.
Are we going to be like the Joker then, where we have like different stories for the origin of our appearance, our names, and
Well, yeah, that was the idea, but now you've said it, you've ruined it.
and then all right, I'm sorry.
So there you go. So from the three squirrels, good night.
And Happy New Year.
Bye.